Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Hart with the Jenny Hart team at Keller Williams. Today I'm here doing another business to business interview with my friend, colleague, and client, Chris Lawler. Chris owns a company called Flippity Doo Dah, and today he's going to tell you how he has created a win-win situation for both renters, potential buyers, and sellers in this market that we're in. And there's a lot of information to wrap your head around, so I'm going to make sure Chris gives you his direct contact info. And if for some reason you don't catch that, please reach out to me and I can connect you guys if this is something that interests you. So Chris, tell us about your business and what you do, how you got into it, why, all the good details.
First of all, thanks for having me on, Jenny. I really appreciate that, for taking the time, especially these days.
Yeah.
So a couple things you mentioned there. You know more than most people probably that prior to COVID-19, over 80% of buyers could not qualify for traditional financing today. That's for many different reasons. Some people are self-employed, they don't have 2 years of income, so they need what the banks call seasoning, which is simply a period of time to qualify for a loan to show proven income. Others have dings in their credit, maybe a hiccup, or no credit. Whatever the reason is, the common factor is they just need time.
Yep.
So we work with buyers who need time to qualify for a mortgage. And we also work with sellers who want to maximize the profits from the sale of their home. And the way that we do that, we are not realtors, we're buyers. So we don't charge commissions or fees for what we do. And we also, in most cases, cover closing costs on the seller side. So sellers who want to maximize their profits and are willing to wait a little bit for that can make on average 5 to 15% more profit with us.
Okay.
So that's kind of the 10,000 foot real quick snapshot on it.
Right.
There's much more information. There's some videos on our website that go into much finer detail on the points. And certainly I can follow up with you with that information.
Yeah, so sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? How are they making so much more? What's their risk?
The sellers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so sellers, as you may know, right now, sellers, when they list traditionally on the MLS, they're getting about 95 to 98% of their asking price, assuming it's priced appropriately based on the recently sold comps. So from the get-go, they're reducing their profits by 2 to 5%. Then they have to pay realtor fees, they have to pay closing costs, transfer taxes, all the traditional fees that come with an MLS sale. Mm-hmm. With us, we guarantee their equity payout from day one. Okay. So if I could just put some quick numbers to it, let's assume a seller has a house for $300,000, right? And they have a mortgage remaining of $200,000.
Okay.
That means they're sitting on $100,000 in equity, right? We guarantee that $100,000 in equity from day one, and we pay off their mortgage as well on or before the end of the lease term that we set with them. Okay. So on the seller side, we buy all our homes on terms. And what I mean by that is lease purchase, owner financing, or subject to existing financing, depending on each seller's unique situation and goals. Okay. And once again, I know I'm vomiting a lot of information right now.
No, we're just going high level right now, so you're fine.
Yeah, the website goes into much finer detail on this, and I'm happy to have a consultation call with anyone who wants to follow up. But we buy all of our homes on terms, and then we connect with buyers who need time through our rent-to-own program.
Did you hear that, guys? Rent-to-own. I have a ton of you asking me, are there any rent-to-own programs? I found you one.
I'd love to talk to you.
A little bit of that. What does rent-to-own mean? How much time are they given? What do they need to do up front?
Great questions. So our rent-to-own program is customized to each buyer based on their unique situation. So we have an industry-leading credit repair and enhancement specialist. He was in the mortgage industry for 25 plus years, and he knows what underwriting is looking at in terms of debt-to-income ratios, credit scores, all the underwriting requirements. So he looks at them from that perspective.
Okay.
Pre-qualifies them to say in traditional language, tells us what the time frame might look like for when they could obtain traditional financing, whether that's 9 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months, or 18 to 24 months, one of those buckets. We then structure their lease term accordingly. So we want to make sure we set our buyers up for success from day one.
Okay.
So we're very strict with our vetting process, and we require them to go through our credit repair and enhancement specialist, so that we can make sure that when they reach the end of their lease, they can obtain traditional financing and obtain their dream of owning a home.
Okay. So that's the win-win. The buyers can find a home that they love. They can contractually agree to purchase that property within so many months. Sounds like a maximum of 2 years. And your job is to get them to the closing table. So you're kind of helping them along with your credit repair, credit counselor person. So it sounds like they have advocates on that side, helping them. Maybe it's a bankruptcy. Like you said, there's several things that just take time before a buyer can get qualified. And it sounds like the win for the seller is they are, their risk is, maybe it doesn't go through in the end. Unlikely if they have a great team like you, but they're essentially not getting their payout in 30 days, right? It's taking a little more time. But you're saying that you're guaranteeing that equity up front, so they're not going to lose money based on that contractual price you set 2 years earlier, right?
Correct. We write that into all our contracts, and we guarantee that.
Okay.
We also build a little bit more time into our contracts with sellers, so that if we do have a hiccup with a buyer, and it does happen, I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it only happens maybe 5% of the time. And it's typically from a life event, a death, a divorce, a job relocation, something like that, that was outside of the buyer's control. We want to have enough time with our contract with the seller to pivot and get another buyer in there so that we can fulfill our contractual obligations to the seller. Okay. But another point you made, we are personally vested in getting our buyers all the way to the closing table. And that's something that distinguishes us from a lot of other companies in this space.
Okay.
Other companies, I won't name names, are more interested in getting buyers in with non-refundable deposits, hoping they don't close so they can get another buyer in and just rinse and repeat. That's not the business that we're in.
It's turn and burn. Yeah.
Morally and ethically, we just can't get behind that, and we've set up our program so that we have some skin in the game as well. So. Okay,
great. You mentioned your website a few times. What is that website? What's a phone number? How does someone reach out to you if they're interested in this?
Great question. So it is www.flippitydoodah.com. So that's FLIPPITYDODA.com. And my direct number is 970-363-4477.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm sure you guys have a ton of questions. I've met with Chris a few times, and every time I have to kind of think of various scenarios and what about this and how does this work? And he has all the answers. He's clearly thought this out. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to kind of spring a question on you. You may or may not have an answer for it. Don't worry. But what about us as realtors? If we have a buyer that we just can't get approved and we bring them to you, how does our relationship work with each other?
That's a great question. And we do partner with realtors across the country. That's another thing that I failed to mention earlier. We're part of a national team that does this.
Great.
Prior to COVID, we bought about 12 to 15 homes on terms a month. We've since been 30 plus a month.
Great.
Our business has just kind of taken off, honestly. But how does it work with realtors? So when we collect that non-refundable deposit from our buyer up front, we would pay you out of that.
Okay.
We pay anywhere from 15 to 25% of that, depending on the deal.
Okay.
So when you run the numbers, it's actually, in most cases, pretty close to the commission you would have made on the seller side or buyer side. And that's separate from your contract with the seller or the buyer. So depending on the relationship you have with them, you could potentially get paid on the back end as well.
Right.
When our buyer closes. So it's a great way to create an additional stream of income.
Okay.
Especially during these times.
Right.
And for the realtors who want to know more about that, just reach out to me directly. There's a video we already have prepared that goes into the deeper dive on that and put some numbers to it to hopefully explain it better. So I'd be happy to share that as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Chris. I know I appreciate everything you're doing because it is hard for us as realtors to sometimes find that win-win situation with a buyer who has good intentions and, we feel that they're qualified, but, the bank doesn't. I mean, when I bought a home 2 years ago, I made really good money, but I didn't have a consistent 2-year revenue stream to show that. So I had to jump through some hoops and do some things. Um, Business owners, a lot of business owners make great money, but they play the tax game and they write everything off. So it looks like they make nothing. So these aren't just people with bad credit, with bankruptcies, with issues per se. I mean, this can help a wide range of people. And I certainly appreciate that because I know I do have people often that fit in that bucket. So sounds
Absolutely.
like you created a win-win, and I'm excited to support your business. And I'm going to share this with all of my friends in my database. And I'm also going to share it with 2 of our local real estate offices. So if you're a realtor and you want to know more about this, if you're a potential buyer, a potential seller, reach out to Chris, talk to him, see what your options are.
We'd love to chat with you guys. And before we sign off, I would just like to say thanks once again. And for those realtors out there, this is a solution that could literally give you an answer to every buyer or seller that walks through your door.
Right.
Especially these days with the uncertainty that we have and the regulations that are in place. Reach out. Let's see what we can work out.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you taking your time to go over this with me, and I hope you have a great day and a good week.
You as well. Thanks, Jenny.
All right. Take care, everyone.